Well, hello, and welcome to Stop Let's Team Up. Those daring defenders, and this is Ross Aiken speaking to you, and we're here to talk about Hulk 126, which is the third of the what I'm going to call the prequel issues that lead into Marvel feature number 1, the first appearance of Defenders. This is a Hulk comic, and I'm excited because it's Herb Trimpe Hulk. And that's very near and dear to my heart. When I was a little kid, I would just thumb through my brother's Hulk comics. And I've always loved Herb Trimpe as an artist, especially on his Hulk. I'm a huge fan of the Godzilla series, even though I wasn't really a Godzilla fan. But I loved his. So I'm excited to talk about this one. And I don't think I've ever read this. I really am. The more I look at this Defenders, I think I skipped all these the last time I tried to do Defenders reread. And I did that during the pandemic because I have all the trades. And then I bought the issues that aren't in the trades, which are the tail end of the series. And I was going to read through the whole thing. And I got to volume 3. And then, squirrel. I got distracted. But I'm going to give you some basic data on this comic from the Marvel database. And then I'm going to kind of talk to you about the comic. So here we go. Okay, it is. The name of the story is Where Walks the Nightcrawler. And this is not the X-Men Nightcrawler. This is a demon from a demon dimension called the Nightcrawler. It's his first appearance. But let's get the basic details out of the way. This is Hulk, Incredible Hulk, Volume 1, number 126. Its cover date is April 1970, so that would have been, probably came out in January 1970. Writer, Roy Thomas, woohoo. That's one reason I'm covering these, because it's Roy, and I love Roy. Penciler, Herb Trimpe. Inker, Herb Trimpe. Colorist, Untitled. Letter, R.D. Seamack. Editor, Stan Lee. And it stars the Hulk, Bruce Banner. Supporting cast in this one is Betsy Ross, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, Glenn Talbot, and Doctor Strange. The antagonists are the Nameless Ones, the Undying Ones, Van Nyborg, who's another cultist, and the first appearance of the Nightcrawler, which is a demon. Let me give you the quick synopsis from the database. It's not too long. Bruce Banner's unconscious body is picked up by a cult led by Van Nyborg in order to be the vessel they send into the other dimension to free their masters, the Undying Ones. Although Banner refuses to do so, the cultists use their magic to change him into the Hulk and send him into the realm of the Nightcrawler, a being who rules over a universe that is next to the realm of the Undying Ones. When member Barbara Norris has second thoughts about what they are doing, she is too tossed into the universe with the Hulk. The Hulk is confronted by the Nightcrawler. In an ensuing battle, the Hulk thunderclap sends Nightcrawler's sonic beams, destroying the entire universe. The Nightcrawler transports himself, Hulk, and Barbara into the universe of the Undying Ones. Battling the Nameless One and its minions, the Hulk and Barbara find Doctor Strange has been holding back the forces of the Undying Ones with a spell that required a human host to stay in said realm. Strange fights back the forces, but during the fight, Barbara, feeling guilt over what the members of her cult have done, takes Strange's place to keep the Undying Ones in their realm. Fulfilling Van Nyborg's plan to make her a sacrifice, but not in the way he had in mind, Strange and Hulk are then returned to New York City. Strange gives Banners a new set of clothes, and both leave Doctor Strange's sanctum. Strange has decided he needs time away to be Stephen Strange again, and the two go their separate ways. So that's this. First thing I want to point out that Barbara Norris is going to be important. She is going to be the host body of the Valkyrie coming up. And the Valkyrie of the Defenders in the 70s and 80s, that's my Valkyrie. I really love Broomhilda. I think she's amazing. She's going to be a mainstay. And I like what they've done with Valkyrie in recent years, having the one that, the new Valkyrie that is like Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, who is amazing in the Thor movies. And the Jane Foster Valkyrie between her stints as being a Thor. So it's cool. A couple notes in this. Doctor Strange has been trapped in the Dominion since the last issue we talked about, Submariner 22. Although although called the Nightcrawler, this is from the database, the demon is later renamed Darkcrawler, so not to confuse him with the X-Men of the same name. Darkcrawler, I guess we're going to get to that at some point, because the Undying Ones and the Nameless Ones and all this really is in a lot of Defenders mythos, and it's great. Although Doctor Strange retires as the Sorcerer Supreme in the story, he is forced back into the role in Marvel Feature Number 1 when he discovers Baron Mordo attempted to take his place. And whoop, spoilers, I've screwed that up. But those are some of the neat things we've gotten there. So we have seen the three of the four major founders of the Defenders, because I'm going to kind of count the Silver Surfer in that, even though he's a little more coming and going. So they've all been introduced. There's some other little bits. This is right after he'd battled I may go back and read this. I'm going on a road trip tomorrow morning, so it's late for me. It's after 8, past my Betty Bye time. But I wanted to get this one in the can and posted, because I'm going to be on the road tomorrow going to North Carolina to help a friend of ours' 10-year-old son celebrate a birthday party, and we've got him comics. We got him some of those little mini masterworks of X-Men, Avengers, some good stuff. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur book, a Zatanna graphic novel, YA book. DC's doing some great stuff with YA stuff. I'm a old man, and I don't expect kids to read the comics in the same way we do, and I don't want the art form to kind of go by the wayside, and I think that it needs to reinvent itself every generation or so, and I think some of these books for younger readers as a gateway into comics, even though the mythos is going to change for some of these characters, like Titans Go, I get why little kids like it, but it's not like Titans. But what it does is get them interested in superhero comics and adventure comics, and hopefully into reading and blah blah blah, all that. Why I am a big proponent of expanding the medium. I wish my palette, my taste in comics, which is varied, was, I wish I was reading a lot more stuff. Graham, Robot of Death on Twitter, who's a big fan of the podcast and a big supporter of all my podcasts and a great guy, he sent me some Asterix and some Tintins, which is huge, and I sent him some Eighth Doctor novels for Doctor Who stuff, and there's another one, and I forget the name right now, but there's another kind of like Tintin Belgian comic that I'm going to get. I really want to kind of start getting, but I'm tight, so I'm really focusing on there's some big trades coming out that I want. And I'm going to be expanding a little bit how this podcast goes. And I'm going to ask for your input when we get to the end. But first I want to kind of give what I thought of this comic. I think of the ones I've covered, I think this is my favorite so far. One, because it is a Roy Thomas, Herb Trimpe Hulk comic. It's still the very basic Hulk, frighten him and he turns into the Hulk. The art is absolutely stunning. It is I love Herb Trimpe. I love. We're about, the next two stories are going to be Sal Buscemi. There are certain artists of this era of comics that are so important to me as a reader that I just gush about him. And Herb Trimpe's Hulk and his Shogun, is Godzilla and his Shogun Warrior comic, are things that I normally wouldn't have read, but I read it. And the only other Hulk series I really, really loved was the Bill Mantlo Sal Buscemi Hulk, which is my Hulk. When I read Hulk religiously, it was during Bill Mantlo's era. So, but I love this. I love this Herb Trimpe, inking Herb Trimpe. I think he was an incredibly good comic artist. To me, he's important. I think he's very important to the mythos of Hulk. I think it is one of the good runs. I would put Roy and his up there with just below Mantlo and Buscemi's. And I've never read Peter David's, so I kind of give that. From all people I respect, tell me it is so good, and eventually I will probably read it. One day I'll be retired and I'll just sit around and read comics, and my wife will hate me. But it's an amazing story. It is, again, it's the era of comics where the writer had a big, heavy hand. Is Roy wordy at times? Yes. But it fits this story. There's a lot of the magic. The characters are fleshed out. Barbara Norris is a real person, so when more stuff happens to her later, even though it's very simplistic, she is the victim, and it's very, not the liberated woman. It is very 1970, 1960. This was probably written in 1969 if it had an April cover date. It was its time. Roy and other writers are going to try to write women as liberated women, and they try to do that with the Valkyrie in Barbara Norris's body. And if you want to hear a great take on that, I really recommend you listen to Tighten Up the Defense, because I think Corey and Hub, in their own very humorous and lighthearted and little cheeky way, in love of the Defenders comic, they talk about what is problematic in that in a very humorous way, that they try to create a women's liberated character and you always have her ex-husband around. But that's for when we get into those. I'm not going to touch on it as much as that. I think you really should check out Tighten Up the Defense and give it a listen. It's a lot of fun. But this story's great, and it's got a lot of there's a neat where the Nightcrawler or the Dark Crawler effect in the art where he needs darkness to fight, so he uses his scepter to create a darkness thing, and it's all done in a negative black and white, or it's kind of like blue and white coloring, where everything's black and then it's just lined in blue and white, and it's really beautiful. It's really amazing. I read it in the Essential, which is in black and white, and I read it in the app, which is updated coloring. I mean, it's still they follow what it would have, but since it's not on newsprint, it looks a little more vibrant. I don't want to say worse or different or better. It just color changes based on what it's on. And since it's not a scan of a newsprint comic, it takes on a more vibrant, brighter, a greater pop, and it looks beautiful in there too. I'm just saying, it looks really beautiful. I think we're getting in the home stretch. All these stories are much stories on their own, but they are building on it. So trust me when I said we're going to do these 5 comics, that it is important, because it really fills up the story, at least and especially the first 2 issues in Marvel Feature and in the further mythos of the Defenders. Check out these Hulks. Check out this whole kind of era. It's well worth your read. They are a lot of fun. If you're a Hulk fan, you're going to like these. A lot of the stuff that's great in Modern Hulk. I think Al Ewing in his Immortal Hulk, he's doing a lot with all the history of Hulk. And I would put this art-wise up with the artist that was on that and artists that have been around before. It's well worth your time. It's a lot of fun. It's worth a read. If you're following along, let me know what you think. You can reach us at the email at stopletsteamup@gmail.com. You can if you're following me on Twitter, direct message me. Tell me what you think. I'd love your input. We're getting new followers all the time. People are listening. More people are listening. I think everybody's listening to everything, and I appreciate that. I want to thank you for the support. There's been a lot of it, very positive. Special shouts out to Ron at Fantastic Comic Fan, to Jimbo Fett, Jim Fetters, to Billy D at the All-Star Squadron podcast. He was kind enough, and I didn't say this, he sent me a lovely gift, the first Guardians of the Galaxy trade. Very thoughtful and very nice, and I really appreciate it, because it's got that first comic we covered here and some other fun stuff and some Defenders that are in there, because that's early on Guardians. They team up with the Thing and Captain America and the Defenders. It's a lot of fun. It's early 70s, and we're gonna get some Steve Englehart, where I'm gonna lose my mind. I love it so much, but I don't think Defenders is Steve Englehart's best book. I think his Avengers is, but I'm not covering Avengers. I think this is the only other series I'm gonna cover. If anything, I want to say this is I may take breaks between Legion and this for short periods of time to kind of cleanse the palate and do 12 issues of something, do something else. There's a poll up. That reminds me, there is a poll up right now with choices of 4 team-ups. One DC Comics Present, which is Superman and the Ditko Starman, the Prince Graven Starman. I am a lover of all things Starman. Batman and Wonder Woman from early Brave and the Bold. She is in the Emma Peel outfit when she doesn't have her Amazonian powers. Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing and the Golem, which was a character in one of the horror books. We'll find out when we cover, if we cover that one. Well, I'm going to cover all 4 of them, but this is kind of going to tell me the order in which I cover them. And the 4th one is a Marvel team-up, which is an early one where it's Spidey and Human Torch when they were both the main characters in the book, and they would take turns teaming up with people. This is when they teamed up, and they battled Kang. And I think that's kind of timely because of the Loki miniseries, and Kang is going to be the big bad in the next arc of Marvel movies, which I'm excited about. So check out this comic. It's really worth it. It's got all the trappings of a great Hulk story of this era. It's got beautiful art. It's getting us closer to the Defenders and the stuff We've got Barbara Norris is in place. All these plot points and devices are starting to set up what Roy intends when he creates the Defenders team. And it's going to get exciting. The next 2 issues are a 2-part story in Submariner, and it will feature what they call the Terrific Trio, or the Titanic Trio, I forget, but it's the Hulk, Submariner, and Silver Surfer, and a guest star from the Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, and Clint Barton Goliath, all drawn by Sal Buscema. So much fun. So, folks, it's been a rough week in the world, as it has been recently. Very scary things happening, so please be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, and read some comics.